fellow dear brothers and sisters, fellow Nigerians. It's an honor to be in your presence to speak about our country and speak about our collective shareholding as regards the survival of this country. I speak differently, and people know that I'm a little bit hard. My brother was overhard. Why I want to acknowledge the people sitting up here and every other participant that is a delegate here today. What I want to sincerely say is that we're in a very difficult times. And Nigeria is passing through very challenging period. People could say it's not affecting them. You could live in the southwest and it's not close to you. You could be living in south and you say it's very far off. And then you are in southeast and you say it's very far off. When program started in Bruno, I was sitting with some of my friends who were military officers and I was telling them, I don't believe a Nigerian man can put a bomb on himself and blow himself up, because we know the way we saw life then, that it was very interesting. Nigerians like to, enjoy what is available that God has created with nature. But it was not too long from when I said that we started discovering that Nigerians were willing to die, putting bomb on themselves. For us to save this country, it must be built on certain foundation. Nothing you can do to seek for transparency, to seek for accountability, that if you are not responsible or be part of the people that usher in those government can only be accountable. Government can only seek or show to be transparent if there's a transparent process by which they got into office. We must establish that our electoral system is faulty, that our electoral system has allowed people who are not competent enough, who don't have the ability, who don't have the conscience and the love of our people at heart, and have come into power only to serve their own personal interest. Because what is happening in our country today is disheartening. You could find out when General Uba died, or was kidnapped, or was abducted by the terrorists. The next day, the vice president represented the president in Kogi State, where he was dancing Makosa and was dancing and was enjoying himself. There was no feeling, there was no empathy, there was no compassion. We need compassionate leaders. Leaders that believe in the sanctity of life. Leaders that believe that even one single death dents the image of this country. Just one single death in the hand of a terrorist. And you discovered that they are still moving around, even when the president visited Benue. Well, Yawata lost over 200 persons. It was a show of shame to see that there was carnival organized to welcome the president. It was conducted in a hall well decorated as more than this one. We must have presidents. Children were lining up on the street. They brought children from schools. Children that are being kidnapped today, vulnerable children. They were lining up on the street of Makodi. And then, we have enough research, we have enough manpower. I lived in 63 reference hospital, Lagos. As an experience, not Peter Obi's experience. Where I saw Nigerian soldiers, as much as they were being killed in Liberia and Sierra Leone, they were coming back. They were still going to try to defeat the terror that was in Cameroon, that was in Liberia and Sierra Leone. Today we have the same challenge at home. And we do not have the necessary political will to defeat this. This is a cancer that we must cut it and amputate it as early as possible. If not, the consequences will be there. Today across the national statistics clearly state that 1 out of every 3 child cannot afford to go to school. Then in the north, it's very high. Not where we come from, it's very high. Today, you have vulnerable students. Why are the schools easy target? It's because of its vulnerability. Because 1, there are no perimeter fencing. 2, there's no security at all. Even when the CSC church was attacked, at least there was live stream to show what happened. You could say that the federal government has overriding authority over security agencies. The president is the commander-in-chief of the armed forces. He controls the police. So, but majority of the problem, the responsibility stops on the table. If he knows and he has the capacity and knowledge to defeat this thing, he would have sat down with necessary agencies to draw and calculate how many personnel we have. How many can be used to guide these schools. Because we're drawing the children out of schools. We further reduce the number of school children. A lot of family might not return them. There will be trauma after this had occurred. So we must be proactive instead of being reactive. What we are having is reactionary measures where you say, Minister of Defense, you move to Kebbi. What is going to do? Even if you rescue them, what about the trauma for the kids and their family? These terrorists are choosing this spot because of his weakness and because of his ability to create high-level propaganda for them. Their news will go all over the world. It is even is low risk and high reward, knowing fully well that the children will not be able to put up any resistance. Can they go into a school that is made up of 400 adult men that there will not be a little bit of crisis? So they know what they are doing. The authority must wake up to their responsibility. And we must challenge the authority to know that the responsibility that has been given to them in the Constitution to protect the life of property, they must take it serious. There's nowhere, no society can flourish economically, politically, if there's no safety of life and property. None, anywhere in the world. And that's why the Constitution did not specify that the government will be elected to build roads, to build schools. No. Yes, it's in chapter 2 of our Constitution. But the primary purpose of governance, which Constitution everywhere in the world has established, is the safety of life and property. Because it is in this safetiness, it is this security protection that every other thing can be built upon. Will you travel on Zamfara Road in the daytime without this thing? Will you go on this local Jakogi Road without proper this in our Itobe? Families have been kidnapped. So it is when you have this security. In the 90s, we used to wake up with our friends in Abuja and we enter a vehicle and we drive towards Lagos. Today, nobody is going to do it. They're asking you, have you contacted the police? So what level of challenge, or what level of country are we building where our people are not safe? How can you expect the suffering? Another part of this country is suffering today because apart from President Trump saying they are coming, let me tell you, every embassy issue what they call advisories. Advisories to their citizens not to go to certain places because of their life will not be safe. Every embassy in this country, you don't just take notice, they are issuing advisories that American citizens should not go to social state. And because of that, they will not invest in these communities. They will not bring their resources to this community. How long will a state survive based on only federal allocation if there are no investors coming in? Even these federal allocations are not properly used. 60% of it are embezzled. We must have a system that will properly take our matter as a serious matter. It is this country we have as of last week at the NJI, National Judicial Institute, where the president was walking in and the judges were singing, "On your mandate we shall stand." Judges, federal judges of this country. It is this country that a National Assembly that should be responsible in making laws for good governance and protection of its citizens is not taking any action to halt this slide into a state of terror. We must have collected as Nigerians not to look at the interest of our party or look at the interest of our pocket or look at the interest of our family members who have been appointed and decide not to say the truth. Because the more we look, we are going to build a nation where we expect our children to inherit an atmosphere of tranquility and peace from us. If we continue like this, we have a funny system. Because with porous borders, more non-Nigerians will walk into this country and take over the ungoverned spaces because our armed forces are already overstretched. They are fighting wars, fighting insurgents, fighting bandits, fighting all kind of security challenges all over the world, all over the country. So they are already overstretched and their capacity to defeat it is waning down on a daily basis. Except something drastic is done, that resources meant to be able to safeguard this country is not stolen. That people prioritize the welfare of their people. That instead of buying private jets, we put money into security gadgets that can help our people. Security surveillance procedures like security detection, sensor detections. If there was a sensor detector around those schools, maybe 10 meters away, 20 meters away, as this security, terrorists are walking in, it will pick up. And those responsible will know that within that perimeter fence being breached at 2 a.m., 3 a.m., something is wrong. So we can't say we are bereft of idea. We are just not too interested in making the life comfortable for the ordinary Nigerian. We have built an elitist society that only remember the very rich and forget the very poor. Our forgotten men and women, our forgotten children. We must not allow religion to divide us. We must not allow religion to divide us. Neither should we allow ethnicity to divide us. Because at the very critical time, if security becomes more serious, none of us will remember these things. Because it will be now what will matter to us is the safeguard of our own lives. So it is clear that this country deserves quality leadership, either from the councillorship world. We leave councillor out of it because there's no election in that area. It is by appointment by the governors. They have bastardized the local government system in this country. It is the greatest fraud fostered in our democracy. So there's no local government elections. So, but we must now sit in this unit form and form proper pressure group that we're electing House of Assembly members that are going to represent us, and we can bring them back. Who can speak for us for the interest of the common man? The National Assembly today has abdicated its own responsibility and have taken the responsibility of only speaking for the president. This is a government, an arm of government that should be responsible in calling the president and then monitoring him with the kind of loan he's collecting. We have removed the subsidy. You know how many trillion of naira we're paying for subsidy? People say that removal of subsidies go. As an economist, I can tell you there's nothing wrong in borrowing money. I know that. There's nothing also wrong in removing subsidy. What is wrong is the hasty nature, in very, very harsh nature that it was done. There was no preventive measures to help the Nigerian system, cushion the effect of the removal. That transportation cost that was 18 naira from Nyanya to Bega increased to 250 naira the day it was removed. So a man earning 100,000 naira, his money became useless. So the government did not follow the removal based on policy and plans. There was no mitigating measures put in place to help the very vulnerable. And that's why today, the very poor are continuing to remain poor. But we will defeat them if we know that our fundamental right is not to sell our vote. That our fundamental right, which is granted to us by the Constitution, is to vote for credible leaders. If we do that, we will save this country from the current challenges that it's facing. Today, we have been drawn apart by unnecessary bickering that will not help our country to progress. I tell you that we have qualified men and women that if they sit down today, we will solve these security challenges, but they are not bringing that matter to discuss because they will tell you it is an APC affair. Nigeria affair belongs to Nigeria and it's not a party affair. Because we are all living within this territorial conference called Nigeria. This territory called Nigeria, we are all living in it, whether you are PDP, Labour Party, ADC, and APC. So we suffer all these consequences together. We go to the same market, we ply the same road, and today, the cost of flying in this country has increased because people know that a lot of people who have flight phobia are no longer having that phobia because it is about safety now. So please, we want to thank the organizers of this program to clearly say that your everlasting commitment is to see democracy work. Don't give up. Don't relent. All of you here, do not give up. This country is our country. It has worked before partially, and we will make sure that it works effectively for the collective good of all our citizens. Nobody should be afraid to speak his mind. In a democracy, that is all we have. And that is the right that God has given us. I thank you for inviting us to speak on this issue. And I thank all Nigerians for keeping faith with this country. And so thank you, the chairman of AMAC, our candidate for AMAC. Please, you know, when you talk about Peter and Peter, there's first Peter and second Peter in the Bible. So that's so I just trying to balance it. So for me, opposition parties is a very critical element within our political system. You know, in section 221 to 229, that's why you find when the function of political party and how political party, you know, we operate. And you go further to look at the responsibility for ANEC. ANEC is a registrar and a regulator of political party. So no political party can operate outside those confines that are established by ANEC. Apart from Electoral Act, Constitution of the party, the Constitution of Nigeria, there's also what we call guidelines and regulation for conduct of political parties' activity. So for political opposition parties have been weakening over the years. The more every year we go in, the more they get weaker. Why opposition parties are even more weak today is the fact that there's pure interference by state actors to try to undermine the strength of the opposition in Nigeria. For everything you see, you might not see it clearly, because there's even for my parties that are not as mighty, maybe our opposition as in the ADC right now and others, Labour Party and PDP, the other opposition that have been, hanged by certain provisions of the law. Section 225A is that you open your mouth, you'll be deregistered, which is identical to the principles of democracy anywhere in the world. Democracy is about participation. That's by you finding a place to belong that you can hear your view, hear your grievances, and that party suits your own principles. It might be party for green party, party for cow discussion, party for green grass, party for whatever. That is why if you go to section 40, it is captured. Look at what is captured in section 40 is that every Nigerian citizen or individual will have the right to belong to a political party, a trade union, or an association where his interest is protected. So if we talk about interest, because you can't just go to any party because you feel the party should there. So party has their own manifesto. But today we are challenged by this act of defecting. If party cannot build momentum into 2027 election now, and by 1 year after that election, everybody that won on the platform of that party defect to another party. So it's difficult for that party to start another momentum for 2032. So, and that section that supposed to protect that is section 109 subsection 1G. But further, those who are making our laws as criminal minded as they could be, they went to section 109 and section 2G and said that for that seat to be declared vacant, the presiding officer of the National Assembly or the State Assembly will be the one to declare it vacant. So how does a man who is a beneficiary of the defection declare it vacant? So for us to make it work, Nigerian citizens must know that political parties are public institutions. They are public institutions. They are not owned by anybody. With self-succession, they are entity that operate on their own. Even if everybody in that party resign, the political party still remain as an entity. So we must know collectively that this party is our responsibility. Imagine if 100 million people are paying 1,000 naira as membership dues. Because the reason why parties are weaker and the reason why party cannot sustain democratic principles among the competitive forces of those in power is naturally because those in power deep hand into public coffers, take this money and use it to intimidate the electorate and make them feel that when you stay on this side of the divide, you get broke more. When you stay on this side of the divide, you benefit more resources. That's why you find out political opposition leaders who don't have principles, who are not disciplined enough and cannot sustain their ostentatious lifestyle, will eventually defect to the ruling government. So it is our collective responsibility as citizens to make sure that the opposition, the political party system, survive to protect our rights. It's clear that the people in power are jittery and they can be defeated. We are in opposition here because we confidently believe that they can be defeated. That's why we're here. And I'm telling you, the only thing that is wrong with the opposition is not about, we've done a coalition where we put 30 political parties together in 2019 and we lost. It's not about how many parties you put together, but it's about the kind of candidate you present to the people. It must be appealing enough to them to be willing to go to the ballot box and vote. It must be attractive enough to them to be willing to sustain injury like the lady in Lagos and still go back to polling unit. That is the kind of things that the opposition need, because the opposition does not have any other power. They don't control the state apparatus of authority. They don't control NX, they don't control police, and they don't control any other thing. What they need is the people. It's the people that determines what happens on election day. And if you tell me that the people are not useless and they are not useful and they are not a determining factor, you ask yourself question: why do they load money in trucks to buy vote? So these are critical things that the people, and the only thing that have made election rigging easier in my 20-something years of practicing multi-party democracy and being in the opposition is the fact that people don't participate. When there's mass participation, we have about something million register on our voters register today. Imagine if 30 million comes out to vote, or 40 million. It will overwhelm the system. The system has no capacity. Today, look at what terrorists are doing. Nigerian security architecture have no capacity to subdue the people in 179,000 polling units. So it is the people that the opposition have. But how can the people be encouraged enough to say they are willing to give their vote? It will be predicated on the kind of candidate that is put forward to the citizens, on what they will make them so encouraged that they needed to save this country from a sliding, from the downward spiral that is going. So it is about the people and the opposition. And you must have in that process a proper, well defined strategy to be able to also deploy your resources on the election day, since you are not going to be stealing for public offers. And I tell you that this government, nothing fears them more. What is happening in all the opposition party, you think it's just happening for nothing? I am telling you, this is the first time I'm seeing that the Supreme Court judgment can be overturned by a state high court. INEC come into existence under section 133 of the Constitution. That means INEC is a federal executive body. No state court can issue an order against INEC and it will stand. No. The current INEC chairman appointment comes in line with section 155 of section 1C. So everything is a federal body. But today you have state courts issuing orders to stop the function, to overrule the federal high court, to overrule the Supreme Court. So, and you have a commission that is so deep now in politics that also will not make you breathe well. But if the people wake up, I am telling you that day and night, these people are not sleeping. If it was Wike group that took over the PDP secretariat, it will not be barricaded. It's barricaded today because the people woke up in their own party and say it's time for us to take our party back. So you will always find state actors acting in the interest of those in power because they want to always work for the interest of their salary. But when the people, please, my last statement, go to America. If you are walking into Capitol Hill, you travel a lot, Mr. Moses, Dr. Moses. If you are walking into Capitol Hill today, you will see people protesting that the carton for Chivita has been reduced by 5 centimeters. They will be protesting for that, people. If you are walking into Capitol Hill today, you see people protesting that why are we wearing blue shirt today? Why is not green? See, protest is very important to the it's critical to bring the attention of government to face the reality of what the people are confronting, because they are insulated from the crisis you are going through. They are inside the government house, protected by armored vehicles with your money, fly armored jet if they have to. They have armored security. They have personnel. If 50 people are supposed to guard the governor's house today, they will say no, for proper security, they make it 200. So they are insulated from all the things you face. In American presidency, cannot go to market with government money. He feed from his salary. But Nigeria, after paying the president, we make budget for his feeding. We make budget for his utensils. We make budget for everything for him. So he doesn't relate with the things of the common man. So it is the common man that has only one authority. And that authority is his voter card. And it's that thumbprint that goes on election day. If it's done collectively in one direction, these people will be removed. Whether it is changed by those who are counting it is a secondary thought. Because at the primary level is that vote counts. But their citizens' disengagement from the process of counting vote leads to the criminal malpractice that occur during the theft of such vote. It's clear that when you vote on election day, our elections are actually improved fairly. Let's say this because of the involvement of technology in our electoral process. We are no longer talking about ballot box stuffing. There's no ballot box snatching, because if you snatch it, the figures are already been recorded and accredited by the beavers. So now we have moved to another level of criminality within our voting process, which is that people now buy vote. And why are people buying vote? It became very obvious in Ondo. That was the first place we saw the practice, where they say Dibo ko sobe, that you should vote so that you'll be able to cook soup, pot of soup. So it means that those in power deliberately impoverished our people, make them paupers, so that they can sell their vote on election day. So it's because the vote matters, and that's why the vote is being put out for sale, and that's why people are buying it. But one critical aspect, one very important aspect that you should not forget, is that we must, as a collective, who are willing to bet a new Nigeria, in our consciousness, in our state of mind, we must now organize in a way that on that day of a coalition, on the polling unit center that we have voted, the vote will be announced, the vote will be tallied, it will be recorded in what we call from EC8A. As soon as it's recorded from EC8A, don't leave there. Let it be uploaded using the IRF Beaver's machine to IRF. As soon as it's uploaded, you can go home. The problem we have today is that people don't wait for the process to be concluded. And because of that, because it's not concluded, you now leave those appointed by INEC who are also beholden to certain political forces at the collation center alone. They end up transferring our vote to whoever they feel they can transfer it to. Look, for instance, Peter Obi won over 900 and something votes in Lagos in 2023. Close to 1 million votes. What was recorded by INEC was 500 and something thousand votes. We Nigerians we have what they call the shortest attention span on any issue in the world. When we drink this water here now, we are forgotten. We are moving to another bottle. We will not remember what happened to this bottled water. Go to your YouTube, go and watch BBC investigation on the rigging that happened to Peter Obi. You watch the one that happened in Rivers State. The result was manipulated. Obi Akpo. Peter Obi won Rivers State, but it was given to Tinubu. It was BBC report. Premium Times also have it documented. I'm not saying what I do not. Documented. Until today, because the result was uploaded. If you go to IREF, you will see that result there. The result that was announced against him. So it is we must, as citizens, now start to see, because our vote count and they are going to steal it. We act as the last line of defense for that vote and make sure that it is uploaded on election day. If it's uploaded on election day, then we will now start to use our vote to be able to create a government that will not only work for our people, but a government that will work for all of us. When bad people get into government by rigging the election, they will never serve your interests. Because that's why you see this manipulation, try to turn political party upside down, try to turn the judiciary upside down, try to turn the multi-party, the electoral system upside down, because they want to come back up by circumventing the processes and come through the back door again, and then start to make sure they give bad governance. So our vote counts, and you should believe in that voting process. And all of us must vote on election day. Without election, that ballot paper they give to each of you, good roads are on that ballot paper. Education is on that ballot paper. Healthcare is on that ballot paper. Security is on that ballot paper. If you give it to somebody who have no competence, who have no character, who have no compassion, who have no ability, then at the end of the day, what you will get will be the negative aspect of all these things I have mentioned. To tell you clearly, in my experience on this field, vote count. Don't sell your vote.